The next episode of me trading options on 11K account with the goal to grow it as fast as we can. Unfortunately, I went a bit margin heavy. So for those of you who watched the last video, will know that I got margin called on these two Meta covered calls where I lost $599. So with the money that I've made so far during this challenge of 342, I was sitting at a loss of $257, which wasn't the best thing to be doing. So if we have a look where we were inside the last video, so I had one Meta covered call open at the 180 strike, and fortunately, Meta released earnings yesterday, and their stock gap down very considerably, and it closed the day at minus 5.22%, but went as low as minus 6.5%. Um, and what you can see here is this level that's been holding pretty well at the, what level is this? About the 157, 156 mark. Has been holding very, very well. And as you can see, price yesterday bounced off that level. So, this is a pretty strong level for us. And, we had a covered call all the way up at 180. So as soon as the earnings got released, the option was very, very cheap to buy back. So what I did is I rolled the 180. So I bought back the 180 strike and I decided to open a 167.50. Now, not the best, not the most I'm comfortable in, because I would imagine Meta would need to fill in this gap. So we're at the top range of that gap. Ideally, I would have liked to have been at like this level at 172, but because I'm behind in terms of where I wanted to be with this challenge, I've gone a bit aggressive to get a bit more premium to kind of generate. And I can roll this, if this happens. I don't think it's gonna, fill this gap relatively quickly. I do think we should be thereabouts. Best case or worst case scenario, price should be thereabouts for me to do an easy roll to go up. So, in terms of how that kind of looks then going forward, so so I bought back the 180 call. It cost me $3, relatively cheap to do so, and then I sold the 167.50 for a positive $122, netting me, what's that, 119 total for the week. Again, this one contract that I've been, rolling up and down over the past 5 weeks has generated me $461. Again, my two margin trades, which I'm really kicking myself, minus 599, which now leaves me with a slighter loss than where I was the week before of 138. So where was I? On that one, I was at 257. Now I'm at 138. So I am calling back that loss. So, for me personally, um, I talked about it in the last video. This has really annoyed me. This has really, really annoyed me. And but we are where we are with this. Um, but this is what I'm good at. Trying to use technical analysis as well as trying to generate a number a week inside my head. I think it was 1%, $100 a week was the goal, and the first 2 weeks I struggled with that, but the rest of the weeks, you got big buybacks here, but the net works out at just over 100. I've been kind of doing that, so we're 5 weeks in. Technically, it should be around 500. I'm at 461, so I'm thereabouts. It's this, I got a bit of ahead of myself there, trying to do something. And what was really annoying is if if it just didn't margin call me for another day, these would have expired worthless, and I would have been in a great position here. But we are where we are. So if we look at the kind of account balance and all that kind of good stuff, and a lot of this stuff is quite difficult to kind of make sense because I've got on rolling options, I've got different things. I'm on margin, the way it's calculated, but effectively, if we look at where we are, so I got a net around 121. Price has moved up because I did buy it near enough the low, so the low of the day of Meta was 157. It closed at 150. So I got it pretty much at the low of the day, and Meta has crawled back towards the close. They're pretty much at the top. What was the high? High was 160. 160.82, closed at 160.67, so pretty much at its highs. So it'd be very interesting. Today is Friday, so we've got one day of this trading week left, and we'll see what happens. So my goal here is hopefully by midweek it kind of stays within this kind of range or within this area, so this option depreciates in value, for then me to then buy it back very cheaply, and then to sell open another covered call depending on where we are using technical analysis. And I get a lot of questions in terms of what strike price to pick and various other things, and I'll have a video on that. If it's not out, I'll link to it before. But generally, it's just natural support and resistance. Really, it's not. And in my trading for a living experiment, this, like, if you were selling a put on Meta, if you haven't seen that, I'll link to that down below. I think I've got the 147, 148 put from memory, which is way below this area here. And that's not to say it can't break through that, but I'm giving myself the best possible chance here of not penetrating that level, because it has this barrier to kind of go through as well. And then also what I like to use is Bollinger Bands. So again, depending on over here, because you've got such, if you're doing covered calls, for example, like I am, you really want to be selling covered calls outside of the band. But what I like to do is I like to use one standard deviation as my kind of starting point. And again, I'm still below my, I should be here. If I wasn't trying to grow this as quick as I can and, just keep generating income every week, I would be closer to this kind of level here. Not to say can't go out of these levels, but generally, majority of the time, 60 odd percent, we are going to stay within these bands. So again, there are many different things. I'll probably, because I'm doing this live on my phone and things, it's very hard for me to record my thought process at the time. So retrospectively, and prices moved since I've placed the trade and various other things. So I'll try to make the video a lot quicker in real time to kind of show you guys in terms of what's going on. But overall, like I said, bar this is going exactly as how I expected it. Just selling covered calls every week, making around $100 a week, and keep doing that. And assuming I didn't have this on an 11K account, that's what that 461 divided by 11,000, it's just 4% return in 5 weeks. It's pretty decent, so you can make some decent amount on there. So make sure you like and subscribe, comment down below if you've got any questions. Again, I've got some thumbnails or some cool other challenges that I'm doing at the moment, and I shall see you guys in the next video.